So this is the apple that I used as a photo reference just to look at light and shadow. As my medium, I use Sennelier Soft Pastels. When I'm painting, whether I am using oil paint, acrylic, or like in this case, soft pastels, I like to set up my palette in order, starting from the left with the cool colors, ending on the right with warm colors. So in this case, we have ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, violet, sap green, green, magenta, red, yellow, light yellow, and white. Today I will be using drawing paper that measures 18 inches by 24 inches. The first thing I did was divide my paper into thirds. So I took my ruler, measured, and then I did my lines going down and going across, vertical and horizontal. Then I took a very light charcoal pencil in red and I did the shape of the apple. Since this is going to be a red apple, I decided to use its complementary, which is green. So I want the shadow side of the apple to have a cool feel because the light is going to be warm. So when you're painting or drawing and you're using colors, if you have a warm light, your shadows should be cool. If you have a cool light, your shadows should be warm. In this case, the apple is going to be a little bit on the warm side because it's going to have an orangey color on the light side, and the highlight is going to be a little bit on the yellow side, which is going to be warm, so my shadow is going to be cool. That's why I'm using first a layer of green, then on top I am going to use a layer of magenta. At this point, I started to add the magenta on top of the green, kind of overlapping it at this point. Now I'm going even further into the apple with the magenta color. At this point, I started to blend with my fingers the magenta color onto the apple and blending the green and magenta towards the bottom where the shaded area is. Now that I blended the magenta into the green, I am going to start adding a little bit of that red that I have because the color of the apple is actually going to be red. Once I added the red to the apple, then I start blending it in. Now that I blended the red into the apple, I'm going to start kind of putting little areas of highlight just to see how it looks. At this point, I'm going to start blending the highlight I just did on the apple just to see how it's going to look compared to the shadow area. Now I'm adding some more yellow for highlight, and then on the next one, I'm just going to be blending it in. Now I'm going to start working on the background, starting first with the cast shadow of the apple. That means the shadow that the apple is casting onto the green paper. At this point, I'm beginning to add the background color, which is green, and blending it in with the cast shadow. And this is the final product.